Time now for the markets with Leighton. And Leighton, you say there's good news for the lumber and forestry product sectors?
That's right, Artist. July construction spending in the United States, meaning the purchase of lumber and other items made from timber, reached a 4-year high. Now, in other news from the markets this week, the size of the U.S. corn crop seems to be under debate. A producer survey shows fewer bushels of soybeans are expected nationwide, while the number of cattle on feed comes in below pre-report estimates. Reports of declining conditions for the Midwest corn crop, along with the status of this year's U.S. harvest, are big factors influencing grain trade as September gets underway. Analyst John Roach likens the current situation between farmers and end users of corn to a game around a card table. He thinks the crop is going to get smaller.
So here we are in kind of a middle of a poker game, trying to figure out, okay, what's the next card going to be? Are we going to find out that the crop has actually been reduced more than the people in Chicago were thinking? And I'm in that camp. I think the crop is a little smaller than is currently being traded in Chicago. I think the users will blink first. I think that the corn market is too cheap. I think cash corn values for delivery into the main part of harvest will rise, not decline, as we move into that harvest period. I think that as we get into that period of time, it may well be the basis in carrying charges that have to do a lot of the work. And I anticipate that we'll see firmer prices and better price opportunities than what we have today.
If the results of Allendale Incorporated's annual producer survey hold, this year's U.S. soybean crop may be much smaller than the USDA last estimated. Soybeans are projected by Allendale at 2.98 billion bushels with an average yield of 39 bushels per acre. Now that compares to the U.S. government's August 12th guess of 3.255 billion bushels with a yield of over 42.5 bushels per acre. Thursday morning, wheat futures were trading steady to 3 cents lower. U.S. export business for wheat has been good. That's one reason analyst Virgil Robinson is kind of scratching his head, trying to figure out why this market is trending the way it is.
The reason WASDE is forecasting that all wheat varieties globally, we will in fact enjoy record production. Now that's part of the discussion. The other part is they're also forecasting an increase in disappearance to the extent that the stocks to use ratio, which you oftentimes hear us use, which is kind of a proxy for supply. Bigger the ratio, more supply; smaller the ratio, theoretically smaller supply, actually declines globally as well as in the U.S. So I'm at wit's end here to explain the depth of the decline here in wheat futures, particularly since we've seen a real good start to our export program this year. Bottom line, I think it's a poor place to finalize the price of soft, hard, and hard spring wheat. I would defer that, if one can, to a later date. I think there'll be a better opportunity.
This week, the results of some new research by Mississippi State's Deer Lab were announced. A portion of the information is the subject for our trivia quiz. Here's the question: what row crop contributes most to the size of white-tailed deer? Is the answer soybeans, sweet potatoes, corn, or grain sorghum? I'll tell you at the end of the markets. We move into the livestock markets now. It seems that some of the pre-report estimates ahead of the last cattle on feed stats were off the mark. That's where I began a Thursday morning interview with Extension Ag economist Brian Williams as we discussed the beef sector heading into fall. So Brian, let's look back. How did the final on-feed numbers line up with the pre-report estimates?
Well, just to run through the numbers real quick, for the total number on feed, we were expecting before the report around 95.8%, and then the report came in at actually 94%. For the placements, we were expecting around 97.5%, and the report came in, the final number was 90%. And then for the marketings, we're expecting 104.4%, and the final number came in at 105% of a year ago.
So we definitely had a shock factor, we could describe it, within those numbers.
We did, particularly on the placements. When we look at the pre-report expectations, it was well below what even the lowest estimate was.
Has the market reacted since then as you might expect given what those numbers had to say, or what has been the reaction?
No, it didn't. We expected, or when the report came out, we thought it was actually going to be a bullish report and boost the prices, but the report came out late on Friday afternoon, and then Monday the prices for feeder cattle at least finished sharply down, and then fed cattle finished down just a little bit.
Now that same week we had a monthly cold storage report come out. Is that a stronger barometer for the beef sector, or how would you describe that in relation to the on-feed report?
Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. I saw this as a really positive report. Month to month, we saw a 4% decrease in the number or in the amount of beef in storage, and so that really was a sign that this is normally at a time of year when it increases, when the storage increases, and so that was kind of a sign that consumption is picking up.
All right, recently we've had the Zilmax controversy. Two major packers in the country saying they're no longer going to take beef that had been fed Zilmax.
Yeah.
What's that impact going to be?
Well, I don't think, initially it was a bit of a shock to the market, but I don't think now it's too much of a deal. When we look at the feedlots, this is who it's really going to impact, and we saw the final weights increasing over the last couple of years, and a lot of that's because of the Zilmax, but there's also substitutions out there that can just be, put in place of the Zilmax.
Before our new feature story, let's check the trivia answer for this week. And the correct choice is A, soybeans. Extension researcher Bronson Strickland says white-tailed deer eat all parts of soybean plants, which gives them the nutrients required to grow larger bodies.